It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of all modes of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our nation, Africa, and the world at large. Transport Line is coming to you from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's fifth largest economy, Lagos. I am Shina Elegbede. Appreciate your keeping us company. Yes, you will recall that last week we did a review of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry since Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board May 29, 2023. Today, in continuation of our assessment of how far we've gone in the realm of transportation, we shall be looking at transportation in terms of road precisely. That is, more or less, see how we are going to score Honorable Minister Al-Kali, how we have been able to more or less walk the talk and implement the policies and programs of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Well, I have been a guest, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Olusholo Ogunyaki, who is going to join me in more or less assessing how far the Transportation Ministry at the federal level has performed in the last 9 months. Remember that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not immediately appoint his ministers when he came on board. So that's why we're talking about how far Alhaji Al-Kali has gone in the last 9 months. So Shola is here to be our guide, to look at precisely how the road mode of transportation has contributed and should contribute to the economic growth and development of our nation. Shola, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Within the next 1 week or a few days, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be 1 year in office as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief. The road mode of transportation is the most important today in Nigeria because it cuts across all nooks and crannies of our nation. The importance of road transportation is even pivotal in the sense that when you look at the issue of food insecurity in the country, we look at it. So, Shola, how do you score or assess this ministry since Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board?
Thank you very much. Really, 9 months or 1 year is a short time to really give a good or bad assessment of a government. It's really short time when you talk about road, because road construction in itself is not a short-term project. It's usually a very long-term project. So assessing really in 9 months, 12 months may not be fair enough for a new government. But after that being said, we've seen moves that shows that the present administration is willing and is committed to improving the road infrastructure in Nigeria. As at the last time, it was about 195,000 kilometers of road networks in Nigeria, out of which only about 20% of them are federal roads. So again, when we assess roads generally in Nigeria and want to talk about federal roads, we're only looking at 20% of what the road construction has been, being federal roads. But with the new projects that the federal government is embarking on, like the 700-kilometer coastal roads and the other Badagry-Sokoto roads, the intent alone shows that there is a commitment to improve road infrastructure in Nigeria, and that is adding quite a number of kilometers to the federal roads that are already existing. So that some of these projects have started is a good thing to say about the government. Now, how long it will be completed and how good those roads will be it's not for us to tell now. It's a matter of wait and see. But by and large, they have given us the vibes that, yes, this government is interested in improving road infrastructure in Nigeria. That's what I can say in terms of assessing them in the last 9 months.
Yes, Shola, I quite agree with you that you will say yes, in theory, 9 months is a bit short. But then, the way the night is going to be,
We know in the morning.
you know, in the morning. So here we are today, especially when federal government is battling with the issue of food insecurity. And we all know the role transportation is going to play, especially road. Now, let's look at what government has done so far. Because the last Federal Executive Council meeting, among the resolutions was the issue of CNG, that federal government agencies, ministry and department should stop the purchase of petrol-driven vehicle. But aside that, let's look at the other issues, interstate roads, mode of transportation. As government really, federal government now, come up to say yes. You know, we used to have federal assisted mass transit and what have you. What has been the contribution of the federal government so far?
Okay, when I hear some of these things, I am amused. Because I'm amused because the government is saying we're going to stop buying petrol-fueled vehicles. And that government that is saying it, well, I didn't see a timeline, but it looks like it's with immediate effect. And I looked at across Nigeria, how many refilling stations are already established that you can get CNG. How common is CNG? How many, in the whole of Lagos State, how many filling stations can you, if you have a CNG car, where are you going to refill your CNG? I've not seen plans about that. Maybe they've not made it to the public. But I would have expected that we will first hear that NNPC or any other body is building so number of facilities that will dispense CNG so that people can prepare their minds to, okay, if I get a CNG vehicle, I know where to refill them. So I've not had that. I don't know if they have those plans, but it's not been made public. So I'm amused that suddenly the federal government wakes up, wants to start buying CNG vehicles. What's the expertise? How many places? So if you leave Abuja, even in Abuja, I don't know if there are more than one or two, if there are any at all, places where you could refill CNG. So if the bus or the vehicle leaves Abuja to like Akure, for example, will the vehicle be able to return? Will the vehicle have a place to get CNG? You know, so all those things, I've not seen moves to put those things in place. So a lot of things, and that's what I said, a lot of these things are just announcements for now. There are things that we say to placate the public, to make us see good. And until we start seeing these things, it's difficult for us to assess whether it's going to be working or it's not going to be working. Because when I had their announcement, like I said, I was amused. That's so, if in the next 4 months, 5 months, we have maybe 100, 200 CNG vehicles brought in from the federal government, where are they going to operate? Where are they going to get the gases from? Where, apart from Benin, that I know have a couple of CNG filling stations, I've not seen one in Lagos. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just said I've not seen one.
It does. It does exist
Yeah.
in Lagos. If you are leaving Lagos, you leave the toll gate, heading towards Izimawe or Ibafo.
That's not Lagos. That's Ogun State.
The bus ply.
I know that there are buses that
Yes,
fly. Yes. I
to
said
the other
Lagos.
side of the express road.
Yes, we are out of Lagos.
There is a recharge station there.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I said Lagos.
My own apprehension is this. Lagos strike, for instance, whether it's bus or what, you can run into traffic 2-3 hours. Will the bus of the vehicle be able to sustain that traffic jam. That is from the government corporate side. What about individuals?
That's what I am saying, that will the infrastructure to support CNG vehicles, are they available? And that's why I'm saying Lagos. Of course, I know there are buses that run on CNG, but how many are they? And then if we're now saying, let's say 20% of Lagos vehicles turn CNG, where are the infrastructures? So that's what I'm saying, that yes, it's good to say, but what are the plans? Have we seen any of the plans to make these things work? So that's about that. Now, the major thing about road transport and the efficiency in Nigeria is we have not developed the interconnectivity with other nodes. And that's a big thing. Take, for example, the Lagos-Ibadan rail. You find out that where people alight from the train in Ibadan is far from the city. And there are no shuttle services. So you have to arrange
Your private.
your private, or the cost of you even getting back to town sometimes is cheaper for you to take a car than to take the train. Because where you're going to be setting off in Ibadan and then coming to the town to do what you're going to do, cost of transport in between those things discourages people from wanting to take the train. Because if you get to Ojota, you take Ibadan vehicle.
Multimodal, intermodal, it's not properly being.
So those are the
executed.
issues that the federal government should address seriously. So when these infrastructures are being constructed, how are they linked together? How are they linked? Now that the train goes to Ibadan, how do we remove the trucks from Lagos-Ibadan Expressway? How do we create a trucks park near the train stations so that the train can move things from the port, reduce congestion in Lagos, and the trucks can take over from Ibadan to places like Oyo, Osogbo, and the rest of those places that the rail lines are not passing through. Those are things that we expect the federal government to invest on going forward. Those are the things that will help the road. Because as long as everybody comes to Lagos and we are still transporting most of the imports by road, the roads will still not last as much as they are expected to because of the constant heavyweight that is going on it. But if we have a train mode that can link, that you can have a trailer park in Lokoja, you can have a trailer park in Abuja, you can have trailer parks where majority of these things can be linked to the Apapa port. Because even the rail now is not linked to the Apapa port. So the Apapa port is operating only with roads. The rail is not linked to it. And that's the issue.
They are linking now.
Yeah. Until they link, yes. When they link, all these things will come into place. And those are the things that we expect the federal government to invest in going forward. And those are the things that will benefit the country much more and then make the roads last much longer.
Yeah, Shola, you see, let's, for instance, now limit our discussion to road mode of transportation. This issue of CNG, I look at it, the implication. Nobody will support pollution. One way or the other, we're all environmentalists. And we don't want people to pollute, whether through gas and what have you. But you see, the so-called advanced countries that are more or less trying to force this down our throat, they've not taken into cognizance the ripple effects, socio-economic-wise, in our society. Imagine the number of private commercial vehicles. Is there any plan to convert to gas, the cost aspect of it? Or are we going to do it totally with petrol-driven vehicles? Again, the implications are there. When you're now talking about employment and the likes of it. So these are the issues, and I believe that our government should more or less look at call it opportunity cost in one way. Again, cost benefit analysis. Because the so-called IMF, all these people are there. We are here. We wear the shoes. Already, daily people are complaining. Inflation, no job, no money, no nothing. Right now, if we decide to do away, we see with petrol-driven vehicles. In those countries, they've given themselves target years. And before they came out to announce, they have plans already on the ground to see gradual thing. So that is that. So I think between now and 2027 is something Alikali is going to be there till end of the first time of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You should know what to do. Then secondly, you see, transportation road mode. You mentioned the issue of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. There are divergent views as regards pros and cons. But I tell you, all those interstate roads that were there already, that are in deplorable conditions, what is happening to them? Ditto, the interstate vehicles. What is the role and impact of federal government in all this? You see, we have federal government and we have subnationals. So it's really there a genuine synergy to make sure that at the end of the day, the average Nigerian benefits. These are the issues. You are the logistic and transport expert. But I believe whatever expertise you have, if it doesn't touch the issue of consumption of food, when Mr. President came out with the issue of how to address food security emergency, I could recall then that now the Minister of Mining, Dele Alaki, then special advisor on he was then a special advisor anyway, and he revealed out the role transportation is going to play. The issue is as of today, Shola, how do you assess roads? Has there been buses, has there been specially designated built vehicles to move farm produce from the farmland to the city or to the reservation areas, where in case you want to say there's an emergency, you take them. Look, you wait how many days it will take government to say, okay, we are going to release grains for so. The rules about the vehicles are not there. That is what we're talking about, Shola.
Let me start from here. The major problem of infrastructures, and particularly road infrastructures in Nigeria, is corruption. And that has been from ages. Because when they announce the costs of constructing these roads, and later on you find out the quality of the roads that are being constructed, most of the times it doesn't add up. So that is a major challenge for every government, including this one. Now, from where you started from, we are also the producers of natural gas. Nigeria currently flares majority of it. So it's an economic benefit for us to have CNG buses because it's supposed to be much more cheaper. Cost of converting our natural gases to CNG is far cheaper than the cost of
refining crude
oil to petrol. So it's supposed to bring our costs of operations of the road transport down. And when the cost of operations is down, then every other thing that takes from it also goes down. Now, with the CNG buses, I have been opportune to see a couple of places where it works. The Edo State Transport have Daewoo buses that operate both CNG and diesel. And I happen to have been there to study how it works. And their report was that the cost of maintenance of those CNG buses, in terms of servicing engine and the rest, the frequency was reduced and the total cost of maintenance was reduced compared to vehicles that are 100% gasoline. So those are things that is being brought in, which will, at the end of the day, bring food prices down. Because the major challenge we're having here now, apart from the roads, the cost of the naira has affected the cost of spare parts for almost all vehicles. So cost of transportation has gone very, very high. And anything, no matter how little, that will bring that cost down will affect food security. Now, talking about the coastal roads, there is no way you're making a new road that you are not opening up some farmlands and some other communities to access roads. So any project that will give more access to people in the hinterland is welcomed at all times. So it means all those people on that coastal area, whatever they are producing gets to the market faster, gets to the road faster. So it will have its impact on the economy at the end of the day. And it will create jobs. It will create jobs in that people that are not willing to live and farm along those lines because it's difficult to get the products to the market. A lot of people will now return to their farms along the coastal lines. Industries will spring up along those coastal lines because, yes, if I produce within 1 hour or 2 hours, I have access to the market. So at the end of the day, all these benefits will accrue as the roads are being made. You're talking about state roads. They have been neglected for a very long time. And like I said at first, monies that were budgeted for the rehabilitation of these roads have disappeared. Over time, government over government over government. So, yes, it's still the function of, it's still the job of the government to make sure that these roads are fixed. But it gets to a level you do not fix this road. There was a controversy between Governor Fashola then and Jonathan over how much he spent in reconstructing federal roads in Lagos. And I think up till now, not all those monies have been refunded. Because these issues will also come up where state governments will repair interstate roads to benefit the people of their state. I will be asking federal government to pay back. And federal government will be saying, no, for this kilometer of roads, this amount you're saying you have used to rehabilitate it is on the high side. So corruption, because you can't really trust the people at all levels that are doing the road construction. But that is not a deterrent. Yes, it's a bad side. It is not to stop the government from fixing these roads as it is. Like you said, there is no way there can be food security without transportation. There can be no way. But any little thing that the government is doing to bring the cost of transportation down, I'll support it. Because it will have its effect on the cost of food. And it will have, and the more of these things, the more people are willing to go back to the farm. So yes, it may not create employment in some sectors that we are hoping, but it will create employment in the real sector. It will create because that coastal road, I pray that they succeed in making it. It will open up a lot of communities. A lot of people will go back home and say, okay, what can I do in my community? So then, little by little, what they call it, small scale industries would emerge along the coastal routes. There is not everybody that will say, no, let me come to Lagos, let me go to Ibadan. There is, from your village, you can access a good road. So those are the advantages of having all these routes through all those places that there were no signs of roads before. So it will always be a benefit. And if this government could complete it, it will be a big plus for the government. Another thing that you're trying to say, which I agree with you, is the skills set and the infrastructure to back the CNG. By now, our universities should be designing CNG engines. And it's not like we will need to do, if we are going to be doing conversion now, we are going to be bringing expatriates to come and do conversion.
You have to.
Okay, so even our universities are not developing things like
that. That Anambra plant in Nomsi, what is it?
Yeah, in Osin.
In Osin, what is the company being carried along?
You see, again, it depends on what the government wants to do. There are things, like you said, private individuals that are in business will not invest in research. Research is majorly an issue that the government has to invest in. And that is not what has been happening in Nigeria. Government has not been investing enough into research on all these things. So yes, like I said the other time, government wants to buy CNG roads. Are there auto technicians, auto mechanics that are trained to maintain CNG vehicles? How many are they? So when the federal government brings all these vehicles, who will maintain them? Is there a school? How many engineers are already trained to maintain this? So there are a lot of things that I said I was amused when that announcement was made. And these were the things I was thinking about. If suddenly you have 500 CNG vehicles in Abuja, who are the mechanics that are in Abuja that will maintain them? So a lot of things need to be done before such announcements are made. Before, maybe those things are being done underground and it is not being announced.
The knowledge of the public.
Yes. But because I don't know about this thing, you just make an announcement that federal government will start buying.
Well, Shola, there are many questions begging for answers.
So many, sir.
And thank God it's still the first year in office. We have between now, first year till 2027. And I hope that by then we'll have gotten it right. Shola Ogunyake, again, I want to thank you very much for finding time to come on Transport Line. We appreciate you always. Thank you very much. That's all we're going to take for today. But again, remember, continue to be your brother's keeper. Till next time, bye-bye for now.